Welcome everyone to our second eConcert featuring Summermusik 2018 artist Cellist Coleman Itzkoff. My name is Eckart Preu and I'm the music director for the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra. This is the second episode of our Sunday afternoon eConcerts. The next and last will be this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time with pianist Alan Goldstein. Thank you for joining us today in our online live venture, and we ask that you bear with us as we work out any kinks. So should the feed cut out for any reason today, don't fret. Know that we will record our session and it will be available on YouTube and Facebook following the event. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank some of the sponsors who have helped make our eFestival and today's event possible. Our eFestival sponsors are the Austin E. Knowlton Foundation and the Wolgemuth Hirscheder Foundation. Our eConcert series sponsors are Rosemary and Marc Schlachter and Irv and Melinda Simon. And today's concert sponsor is Max Reif. Now, this is an interactive event and will be much more fun with your participation. So please type any questions you might have for our guest Coleman Itzkoff in the comments box under the video in the Facebook feed, and we will do our best to answer as many as possible during today's program. And with that, I'm happy to welcome our guest Coleman Itzkoff, and let's start off with a performance, with a short performance, and Coleman will be playing the prelude to Bach's Suite No. 1 in G major. Thank you, Coleman. It's always good to hear you play Bach. Is Bach particularly difficult? I mean, he's considered to be a fairly difficult composer to play. Do you have problems with him at all?
No, no problems at all. It's the easiest thing for me. Yeah, of course. It on the page it looks so simple. It doesn't really take you up into any extreme register. Um, it mainly in the lowest register of the cello, but for whatever reason, these pieces remain a constant source of mystery and misery and fascination for cellists around the world and throughout our lifetime. So yeah, Bach Bach is one of the hardest.
Speaking of misery, because people see us so often on stage and applause, and so they don't really participate in the misery and with all the troubles that we as musicians go through in our little chamber practicing. Have you ever had and experienced a kind of a musical crisis, a period where you said to yourself, I can't do this anymore. I'm not good enough. Kind of self-doubt comes with a job. Or any other creative dark phase. Have you ever experienced that?
Same answer. Never had a moment of self doubt. Always positive. Always going for it. Of course, every other day is like that for me, Eckert. I mean, really, it's a constant tower of terror, just swinging back and forth between poles of can I really do this? Am I meant to do this? And you're doing all right. You're doing okay. You're bringing music and beauty into the world if you're playing well. And yeah, I think that's something that is not unique to just musicians either. It's common among all art forms and something that gives me hope. I watch these like Hollywood roundtables on YouTube and all of the great actors and actresses that you know and love go through the same kind of imposter syndrome thing each time they approach a new movie, a new role. They think, oh, this is the last one. They're finally going to find me out, and I'm going to be revealed as a failure. And I feel that way every time I approach a new piece, something that seems impossible, especially new contemporary music that just is so far out of what I know and am comfortable with. And it's just, that Sisyphusian mountain that you have to push the boulder up each time and just come to terms with that sort of circle, that cycle.
Right. And of course, people don't think, neither should they think about when someone comes out on stage in the limelight and plays, they don't know what dark hole that person just came out of. Potentially, it's not always, it's not like every day is dark hole, but they're there, they're definitely there. Now, so you grew up in Cincinnati with two professional musicians as parents. So dare I ask, how was that? I mean, were the tiger parents who forced you to practice? Was there one parent who was more dominant than the other and became your teacher of some sort? Or was the teaching kind of outsourced from the beginning?
They struck a really good balance. I have two siblings, and they also played in the beginning, and my brother gave it up very quickly, and they were okay with that. He was throwing tantrums and getting headaches from violin. My sister started on violin. She stuck it out on piano for quite a while, but knew that she didn't want to do it professionally. And they switched off. They tag teamed if I was having like a bad practice week or being difficult. But they also they outsourced the teaching. They provided me with great resources. I went to prep up at CCM, and I had an amazing teacher early on, Eric Kim, who was then the principal of the Cincinnati Symphony. Um, so yeah, there was, I had rough moments where I thought, I'm only doing this for them. I want to just become a professional skateboarder and give this all up. I had plenty of moments of doubt and frustration, but on the whole, I'm grateful for for having musical parents, and especially those two parents, my two parents.
I was curious about sibling musical rivalry, if that was going on, and if they maybe gave up their instruments because you were so good. I don't know. It's like, let him do it. I'm throwing in the towel. I don't know.
think there were. I don't remember there being any competitiveness in that way. But my brother, he's a very talented artist, and my sister has an incredible job in a communications department of a large corporation. So at this point, they're both beating me, and I need to play a little catch up.
Now, I'm curious. Your father is a violinist. Your mother is a violist. It is a little suspicious to me that you don't play either of those instruments. Was your choice of instrument, the cello, a conscious choice not to play any of the instruments that your parents played?
It certainly wasn't conscious because I began at 4 and I didn't have consciousness then. Or not that I can remember. You know, it could be perfectly natural to have a viola, a violin, and a cello in a family. It's the family string trio. It's also a family instrument. My grandfather on my father's side plays cello. And my aunt on my mother's side, her sister, is a cellist as well. And I think their mother played cello too. So, yeah, I'm not sure there was a moment where I saw yo-yo on TV and said, I want to do that, necessarily. But I'm grateful for it. I love the cello. Everyone loves the cello. It's like the most beloved instrument. Wherever I go, people say, cello is my favorite instrument, and everybody loves a cellist. It's true. I've got a T-shirt that says that.
I've met a lot of guest artists, musicians, and some were good at many things, and they had many or several career choices, and they just chose music. I didn't really have a choice. Music was the only thing that I was really good at. Were you a good student at school? I mean, did you have a choice? And if so, what was your backup profession? Besides skateboarding, of course.
Yeah, well, I was going to say skateboarding. Was I good at school? I tolerated school. I think that's, and I was good at getting through it and getting good enough grades to go to a decent college. But music has, I'm like you, it's forever been my passion and my dream to be a musician. Very early on, I knew I wanted to do this. Like 8 years old, I heard a piece and I thought, I can do this for the rest of my life. And so yeah, it's, if I didn't have cello in my life, if like tomorrow my arm fell off and I had to do something else, I would still find a way to make music. Maybe I would become a conductor like you, follow in your footsteps.
One-armed conductor, yeah.
Why not?
I mean, it's interesting because how do you measure success? Also personal success or personal quality? I mean, you participated in quite a few competitions. And there are different opinions about the usefulness of competitions for musicians in particular, for artists in general, because so much of what we do is subjective, and there's really no way of objectively judging musicianship, for instance. So, what is your take on measuring quality in terms of being musicianship, for instance, or judging a musician?
Judging a musician, there's. It's a little bit hard to articulate. There's something ineffable about it. When you see it, you know it. I think the most success is a hard term, and there are so many factors and variables. Lately I've been thinking a successful performance of mine is where I'm being as honest and vulnerable as possible in that moment. Because no matter what, in 3 months I'm going to be a different person, and I'm going to look back and think, oh, I could have done better. So in each moment, in each performance that you're giving, to be as focused and present as possible, and honest as possible, that's a form of great success for me.
Yeah. I mean, the humanity is such an important part of music making, and I think honesty is the only way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you live in New York City, right? Having lived there myself, I know the advantages, the attractiveness of the place, but also very much the downside. Why do you live in New York? Why do you think it's the right place for you?
Well, funny you should ask, because it's like all downside and none of the attractiveness right now. There's no concerts. The museums aren't open. It's very difficult to go see friends. All of the reasons one lives in New York are kind of out the window right now. At the same time, there is something inspiring about just being in a city with this kind of history and with this diversity of ideas and people and cultures. It's the true melting pot of America, and you know, there's something kind of nice about the grittiness of it too. I find attractive anyway, and I'm lucky to have a decent apartment in an undisclosed location on the Upper West Side. We'll just leave it there. Where did you live when you lived here?
Oh, I couldn't afford the Upper West Side. I was above the Upper West Side.
Okay.
Upper West Side that's the higher end musicians already. I wasn't the lower end musician, so we lived up Dykeman, like up there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, way up, way up.
Way up. That's 200th Street. 200th Street. Yeah.
I should say I can't afford the Upper West Side either. So that's why I say undisclosed.
What upcoming projects are you excited about? What is, I mean, as far as we can plan ahead, do you have anything exciting planned? I'm sure you do.
I think the next actual concert I have is scheduled for Los Angeles in March. You know, knock on wood that there's a vaccine by then. And then I have some projects over that next summer. I'll be coming out your way doing a project at the Long Beach Opera. And then I'll be hopefully doing Marlborough 2021, the festival in Vermont. So right now, if we're talking just the next 8 months, it's hard to be excited about anything on the horizon. And it's something I'm trying to figure out this month. I've just gotten back from a surprisingly busy summer up in Vermont, where I was playing concerts at Yellow Barn, and that kept me focused, occupied. I was playing chamber music with other people, which is a miracle in this time. So now I think is the time to focus inward and to rediscover the instrument, my playing, my relationship to music, and do all of that deep internal work that you always put off when the schedule is very busy.
Right.
And I'm very excited about that. I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
All right, let's hear some more music.
Sure.
What do you have for us?
Okay, well, it's kind of a gloomy, rainy day here in New York, so I decided to go with something a little bit gloomier, more melancholy. I'm going to play the Adagio from Bach's G minor violin sonata, transcribed for cello in C minor.
Thank you for this. That was beautiful. Thank you,
Thank
Coleman.
you.
Thank you. Now, we have some keen observers online here, and they saw that right next to you, on your right, there are some bottles there. And the question was, do you have a to-go beverage that goes with Bach, for instance?
Beverage with Bach, a beer, German beer, of course. I mean, okay, so my go-to cocktail is a Manhattan. That's the one I make for myself the most often. Yeah, but I've been digging Negronis lately as well. So.
Okay. All right. Jennifer wants to know if it was, and that's a kind of a follow-up question, what we talked about already, if it was a good or bad thing having professional musicians as parents. And I know your mom is probably watching. Heidi Yenney is our principal violist, so I know you're going to be in trouble, but maybe not. I don't know.
Hi, Mom. Uh, was it a good or bad thing? It was definitely a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't know otherwise, but the connections, they helped foster the early exposure to good music. Not just classical, by the way. I grew up on a healthy, steady diet of Beatles and Rolling Stones alongside all of the classical music that I was hearing. So definitely a good thing, a positive thing. Yeah.
And Anne wants to know if you own your cello or if it was loaned by someone. Just talk about your cello a little bit.
Is this our friend Ann Stewart?
I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says
It
Anne.
says Ann. I don't own this cello. It was loaned to me in 2014 by a foundation in Austin, Texas, the Amateus Foundation. It is a Gennaro Galliano made around 1730. I'm very lucky to be able to play on it.
Yeah, yeah. Tasha wants to know, what is your favorite encore piece to play?
My favorite encore piece. I don't have a favorite. I switch all the time. So sometimes it's Bach. For our concert, I chose a piece by the Latvian composer Pēteris Vasks.
Yeah.
This really arresting, stunning, slow movement from his solo cello piece, Das Buch, where I'm singing very high, and it always sort of takes the air out of the room, I find. And then actually the piece I'm going to finish with today is a recent favorite of mine, and I won't reveal it just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, Brian O'Donnell from WGUC says hello from Cincinnati.
Hey, Brian.
And
Missed you guys.
say it again.
I miss you guys in Cincinnati.
I have one question. You have this painting in the background. What is it and why is it there?
So this apartment is actually a sublet, and it belongs to another musician friend of mine. So I don't know the story of the painting. I believe, except for that, I believe it was painted by a former violinist,
Okay.
turned painter, and yeah, I like it. It matches the other paintings in this, which have a lot of blue in them, a lot of like ocean scenes.
And
Yeah.
you're drinking their cocktails too, right? It came with the apartment.
That's right. This big bottle of Grey Goose you see here, that came with the apartment, I promise. Grey Goose, sponsor us.
Okay, I think you have one final piece for us. What is it?
I do. It's so in honor of Cincinnati being just next door to Appalachia. I'm going to play Marc O'Connor's piece Appalachian Waltz. Yeah, I guess it's Appalachian music has a kind of really rich, interesting history. It's a fusion of old Scottish Highlands, Gaelic, Irish fiddle tunes and English fiddle tunes that were brought over in I think the 17th century, and brought into that area of Appalachia, and then fused with African American music in the early 18th century. Like that's where the banjo comes from. And it's just got such a rich, incredible world history, and you can sort of hear it all in this one piece, Appalachian Waltz. So without further ado.
Very cool. Very cool. So who was it again? And what was the name of the piece?
This was Appalachian Waltz by Marc O'Connor.
Marc
Fiddle
O'Connor.
player.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was a question there, and there were actually two questions that I kind of want to sneak in, and it is Nick who kind of wants to know from you if you think if there will be a big demand for concerts when the pandemic is over. I mean, or if you think that audiences just will be too afraid to return to concert halls.
It's very hard to say. I'll provide an anecdote. I've already done a few like porch concerts, outdoor concerts during this time, and those have all been the highlights of my summer. And for the folks that were there, they couldn't have been more grateful for the community and the meaning that an event like that has and carries with it. So if that has anything to say about what will happen after the pandemic, I believe there'll be a great demand for more of that kind of thing in the future. We need each other, and we need music, and we need that communal sense that comes with live performances.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And a last question from Richard. Richard asks, how do you keep up your stamina during this time of quarantine?
Playing stamina or physical stamina?
I don't know. Let's go with both.
Let's go with both. Okay, so right, because you can't go to the gym anymore, really. So my strategy is kind of a rigorous morning routine of body movement, stretches, breath work, Wim Hof breath work specifically, and meditation. And that sort of fortifies my body and mind for the rest of the day. And then on top of that, I'll throw in a rigorous calisthenic thing twice a week, go on plenty of walks, and just try to move as much as possible, especially here in this tiny apartment. You got to move a lot. And then as far as cello goes, I think it's when I'm on the road and playing a lot of concerts, I don't have a ton of time to go back into fundamentals and play my scales and arpeggios and thirds and sixths and octaves and all the stuff that I really should be doing, the teeth flossing of cello playing. So I'm grateful for all of this time and to re-examine and reevaluate my approach to the instrument, to become ever more efficient and ideally play more in tune. Yeah.
Coleman, thank you so much for being so thoughtful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our guest today, the very talented Coleman Itzkoff. Coleman, from everybody here at the CCO, we want to thank you for being such an important part of our eFestival, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the Summermusik stage again in the future. You have many fans in Cincinnati who can't wait for you to come back. Thank you also to all of you, our friends of the CCO, who took part in today's live event. Please join us again next Sunday for the last eConcert with Alon Goldstein. In the meantime, the Summermusik Festival is continuing, and we hope to see you again for our YouTube virtual watch party this Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern Time, which makes it 4:30 PST, with the title Bugs That Buzz, with CCO Assistant Concertmaster Sujin Kim and Nicole Gunderman with the Gorman Heritage Farm, as they introduce us to some of the important conservation and farming practices that they utilize on the 120-acre working farm. And the music is all animal related, and it's going to be a really, really cool and fun event. So check out our website at www.ccocincinnati.org for all the details about this and our other eFestival events. and to find the link to support the CCO and our eFestival. Stay well and see you soon. Thank you, Coleman. Thank you.
Thank you, Eckart. Bye, everyone.